Welcome to Rising Tide Startups, where we chat with startup founders and solopreneurs just like you from all over the globe. During our chat today, picture yourself starting your own startup journey. If our guests can do it, you can too. Every episode of Rising Tide Startups is sponsored by Podbrand Media. Let Podbrand create and host your company branded podcast. Learn more at podbrandmedia.com. This is Rising Tide Startups podcast, and my name is Kevin. It's a great day to host a podcast, and we got a great guest with us today, Amber Goetz. Amber, thanks for joining us on Rising Tide.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on here.
So I already asked her to apologize. Even, we had known each other about 5 seconds virtually, and I asked her to apologize for the place she lives. She lives in one of the most beautiful parts of the whole country. So, Amber, will you confess and share exactly where you or the area of the country you live in, and how you have to suffer through this?
Yes. So I live in southern Utah, and while it's conveniently close to Las Vegas or just a quick drive to Salt Lake, we are surrounded by gorgeous red rocks and forests just, 30 minutes away, and some of the best hiking and off-road trails in the world. So it's
Zion
really tough.
National Park right there in your backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, we struggle around here. Like, which hike do we want to do today? There's so many decisions to make, it's really
First
hard.
world problems. It is the first world problems. But
And I will say, I don't know if it's like the inspiring just place we live. I have never lived somewhere where I see people doing like the big dreams they think of. When you think of an idea and you're like, man, wouldn't that be cool if we could start that thing and do it? Like, people are doing that here. There is a community that a builder created where you can wake surf right out of your backyard without a boat. You just hook up. I mean, I know this exists in the world, but I've never seen it with my own eyes until living here. And I remember looking at it thinking, that was just somebody's idea. And then they did it.
Yep.
They brought surfing to Utah. And
surfing in the desert. And It's not sand surfing.
It's blue, gorgeous water surfing. And I see it everywhere. It's not just one example where I'm just driving. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody else. They did a thing. They're doing it. It's very cool.
Maybe it's just in the water. Maybe there's there's some DNA there or something for sure. I would love for you to introduce yourself like you and I met at, say, a networking event. How would you introduce yourself to me?
Okay. Hi, I'm Amber. I run an agency called The Active Media. I have been a programmer since 2005. And ever since 2012, when SEO kind of landed in my lap, I learned how to take people from being buried on page 7 in search results to page 1 and get the phone to ring.
Was this within the framework of a company that you were working for, or were you kind of doing your own thing even from then?
It's a little mix of both. It's a great question. I did have my own business for a long time and then ventured back into corporate America. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why I decided to do that, but I just had this desire to go join a marketing team. And I worked at that brand for 4 years and ran the marketing team and grew very frustrated because I had worked for myself before and I was able to move quick and adapt and do the things I want to do. And when you're in that corporate environment, you're so constricted, and there's, the levels of hierarchy, and then there's legal counsel, and there's all the things. And of course, obviously that's needed in many cases, but it just, for me, there was an opportunity to do my own thing again. And I went right back into it, and I will never go back. There's no way. There's nothing like being free.
Did I see a clip of you at one time that you were also like a TV host?
Yeah. So in my 20s, when I was learning programming, I did TV host. I did a lot of sports hosting and stunt work. So driving cars really fast and movies and commercials, and same thing with motorcycles. So I'm a bit of a thrill junkie in my spare time.
Well, now that came out of nowhere. Oh, by the way, I was a stunt driver, and I rode motorcycles and drove cars really fast. This for movies, this for commercials, this for fill in the blank.
Little of everything, mostly television and commercials. Movies, I think I did a couple like stunt falls, but nothing big and super noticeable. That was right at the end. I was like getting into like fake fighting and all that stuff, and it was very cool. But I found out I was pregnant with my only child, and I was like, I'm gonna stop jumping off of things now and take care of this.
Plus, Tom Cruise does all his own stunts, so I mean, he doesn't need anybody to help him with it. So
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't need me.
there's that. That's right. It's like AI for stunt people. It just kind of took you
Oh
out
my
of the job.
gosh, yeah. Do they need him anymore? Probably sadly not.
So you and I pop on an elevator. We're in a hotel.
Yeah.
We're pop on an elevator. You got 30 seconds to kind of give me the pitch of the active media.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. So the thing I see most when I meet a business owner or a new client is they don't know. They don't know where their marketing channels, what marketing channels are bringing them their most biggest efforts. So what I like to do is provide an insane amount of clarity and information. And I do that by way of very visual reporting. I make sure to loop my clients in on everything we do, and we make sure to get your phone to ring.
How do you, what's the pricing model? Is is it campaign based? Is it, hey, this is a flat kind of retainer fee for our services a month?
Yeah.
How did you kind of, number one, I'm interested, how did you determine your pricing model,
Okay.
from the beginning
It's
or maybe how you've morphed it over the years?
I'm not going to lie, it fluctuates, it changes. It used to work one way where it was more based off like, how many keywords do you want? Like that
Hmm.
doesn't work nowadays because the way AI searches are working, it doesn't work to say, hey, I'm going to work on these 10 keywords because people aren't searching that way. They're searching in a question or they want to compare maybe two vendors. So that sort of pricing structure doesn't make sense anymore. So nowadays it's more so the aggressiveness, like how aggressive do we want to get, which means
Hmm.
time, which means hours, which means more hours spent building backlinks, more hours spent creating content, more hours spent fixing technical issues and optimizing the website as a whole. And if it's a site that just came to me, there is a learning period of like, okay, how is this working? How can we make it better? Um, I think my biggest advice, like if I could go back years ago and tell myself, like, be ready to change at any time with how you price yourself, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're just exchanging money for time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. You
when
just
the
have
world
another job.
changes, yeah, exactly. You still have a job. So yeah, it's for me, it's more about results.
Hmm.
Provide the results. And I'm very open and honest with my clients where I'm like, are you happy with the results we're getting? Are we getting the right leads? And if we're not, I want to know about it right now. And we want to pivot. We want to figure out why. Where's the fall off?
What, I mean, I've interviewed a number of people that were kind of in the SEO space over the last, say, 6 years or so, 6, 7 years. They they talk so often about, the algorithm and how we're trying to figure that out and what is really working right now. How much of that is actual insight versus just kind of trial and error? Like what do you mean when you say, okay, we figure this out. We know how SEO is working in this current iteration of Google. You know,
Yeah.
what does that mean from a marketer standpoint?
I think it's all in the data. Seeing, when we make changes, here's an example. At the beginning of the year, we started to notice when we would add a new file called an llm.txt file. We started to notice, the performance of the site is changing. Then people start talking about it more. Then you see software companies like SEMrush going, oh, don't forget to add your llm.txt file. So I feel like it's a lot of trial and error. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't have said that 2, 3 years ago. 2, 3 years ago, it was like, no, you got to follow the Google guidelines. And yes, still absolutely follow Google's guidelines, but nobody know. I don't care who you are. You do not know what's coming down the pipeline with all the AI change up and
Yeah.
how we as humans are searching differently. We're searching differently now
Right.
because we can get this side by side comparison in 30 seconds that gives us that brief summary to that question we had about getting, your roof redone versus before when you had to search and you had to read and you know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
very different now. Now it's a game of who can supply the information in the most digestible, valuable, quickest way possible because you've got seconds to convert them.
So, I mean, I would agree with you wholeheartedly that, the way we search has changed and actually pretty rapidly,
Yeah.
over the last maybe, what do you think? 18, 24 months, maybe?
Yeah, I
Um,
always say like halfway through 2023, things just started getting weird. It's like, whoa, things are changing.
So if you are Joe Average out there just looking for something, you're not necessarily typing it into Google anymore. You're asking it ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. So how is the search changing? I mean, you mentioned kind of the side by side comparisons. Like you're asking like, tell me why this company is better than this company. Is that the question that's being asked, or is it saying, hey, what's the best option for this need that I have? Or what are the top five? What are the how are consumers asking those questions now?
Okay, good question. I think it depends a little bit on the search. If it's e-commerce related, I am seeing a lot of people are just searching for, best off-road radio kit,
Yeah.
and Chat GPT or whatever, whatever LLM you're using returns an overview similar to Gemini's, and
Hmm.
you'll see that it's citing anything from reviews to features of the product to, quick maybe case studies that it has. So it's interesting because e-commerce is doing that, whereas like when you're asking a long-winded question, how long does it take to install a custom in-ground pool? They're going to shoot out a more detailed list,
Hmm.
and sort of reminds me of Google's people also ask section. It's
Mm.
almost like it's grabbing a lot of data from there. It seems it is, and I could be
Yep.
wrong, but it seems it is, and it's kind of summarizing it and then citing where it got it from. So it's with one question, you're getting this like mix of information, which I think is good and also maybe bad because a lot of times that information is wrong.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Like, is it just volume that wins? Like in an LLM, is it the fact that I can throw if I throw a ton of volume about my company compared to someone else, do I just win because I'm the heaviest player out there?
I read a story where allegedly this developer did that. He fed like 120,000 documents or knowledge docs into his chat GPT, and allegedly it got him ranking really high. But I don't know if I believe that because I've seen
Hmm.
some of my smaller clients rank very, very easily in chat GPT. And I think it seems to be more so related to the overall health of their site, how the content is structured on their site. Do they have great backlinks? So I don't know. Maybe it's both. I
Yeah.
wish I knew. I would be a billionaire. That's the truth. Like you can only assume, you can only guess and go, okay, that's working, but maybe it's not going to work for the next client. So it's a lot of trial and error.
And now here's a quick word from one of our new sponsors on Rising Tide Startups.
Every episode of Rising Tide Startups is sponsored by Podbrand Media. So you started your own company or branded podcast, and now it's fading. Let Podbrand give it new life. Check out podbrandmedia.com to learn more. Well, one thing that I've seen you, in maybe previous podcasts talk about is, how a little guy can rank, compared to say a Fortune 500 company, how they can rank in SEO, how they can rank in, results in ChatGPT or whatever. How would one do that if they're a very small player in a great big pool?
Well, again, depends on the industry. If you are a local service business providing, even a digital product, but if you're providing a physical product or service, I would say leaning on your Google business profile is the best thing you can do. Answering as many questions that people ask on there. Make sure that you're updating your offer if you have promotions. Google, I mean, I can't speak for the other LLMs, but it seems like Gemini is really, really loving the Google business profiles that people are paying very
Hmm.
close attention to.
Hmm.
They're paying more attention to it than, social media channels. And it's always been like an intuitive feeling of mine that Google's always going to have those profiles win because it's their own property. Why would
Yeah,
they not? Why would they
exactly.
not? So I mean, from day one, I was like, okay, I'm going to treat this like it is my virtual storefront because that's what they want you to do with it. So when there's a new field, fill it out. Whether it relates to you or not, like fill all the fields out that you can.
Yeah, and when we talked before, I said I wanted to focus a lot kind of on the the running of the business versus the business itself. But this is such a, the things that you say, everything you say makes me ask three or more questions
That's
after
fine.
the things that you mentioned. But I do want to kind of steer us back to the original intent of our chat here. But I want to go back to, say, the day one of you're a solopreneur day one. What did that look like? What was the impetus for jumping into that? Imagine, like, how did you escape the proverbial cubicle?
That's a good question. Oh my gosh. I think it was setting some really healthy personal goals, daily habits, because I was leaving the corporate world, but also in the wee hours of the morning and the late hours of the night, trying to get, all of my things up and running. And that's really difficult when you have a full-time job and, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're doing all these other things. So I would set goals to complete X. Maybe I wouldn't say I was in the mindset yet of like creating an SOP, but I definitely was deciding what was my project management flow going to look like? How am I going to be able to keep serving these clients and stay on top of all the things they need from me while also focusing on growing my business? I think the hardest part is probably when you decide starting your own business, like staying in the mindset of like why you started the business to keep that going. Like I catch myself all the time going, oh my gosh, I haven't just like sat and thought about what do I want next for my business, because you just get busy serving other people. So if I could go back, that's the advice I would give myself. Like, hey, have like quarterly goal setting with yourself if you're a solopreneur, and make sure that those needs are met at the end of that period, because it's crazy how fast time will fly and you're at the end of the year. I mean, I've been trying for almost 2 years to get a course out, and it's the hardest thing to do. Fingers crossed to actually get it done soon. But it's really hard because for me, like, I want to make sure my clients are happy. I want to make sure they're winning so we can keep doing this.
Did you start your kind of side gig in the same industry that you were working, that was your day job, or how did you kind of step into the marketing side of things?
Okay. So I was in the marketing team for a solar company, and we did a lot. We did everything. We had ads, we had SEO, we had a web developer on our team. And I think learning what I learned of how, like, I don't want to say slow, but kind of slow when you're in the corporate world. Like, it's slow. As an entrepreneur, you can hustle. You can do all those people's jobs real fast. So I think it was looking at where I saw that cadence that I could be picking up on my own and doing it on the side and doing it for other clients. And I just started reaching out to past clients that I had worked with before and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now. If you need an extra set of hands or a marketing person to lean on. And it just started building really fast. I'm not kidding. Probably 4 months. Once I decided I'm going to do this again, I'm going to flip this back on, I resigned. I was like, I can't. This is making more sense to do this thing for me.
Now, this
So
was
I don't
in
know.
the 4-year hiatus that you talked about. So
Yeah.
let's go before that, because you were
Yeah.
actually doing work even before that, right? So what
Yeah.
were you doing leading up to the time that you said, I got crazy and stepped back into corporate world for 4 years?
Yeah. Mostly just
What's that window
marketing.
before?
Web development. I went to college for web development, and I also did I did some cinematography, and I was in a film program to edit and shoot films. And I did that for a long time. I did a lot of photo, video stuff, which I just didn't love. It's just not my thing. I still do photos here and there, but not very much. Yeah. So building a lot of websites, graphic design. I dabbled a little bit with social media. Never really been like super passionate about it. Like some people get really into it. It's not my cup of tea. And in 2012, I was also a partner of a photography brand, and we had a large team. And I started to notice little things I would do to the website. We'd start ranking within days. We'd start passing people. We relocated the business, and within 6 weeks, we were number one in search. No matter what you search, we were number one. And it got to the point where it was clear, like, okay, this is a thing. Maybe this is a service. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember a lot of people talking about SEO back then. So for me, it was just like, I'm going to help this. I'm going to do this to the people I've been building websites for. So then I started, doing the things that I saw work for me, for other people. And that just kind of compiled and started building my customer base, whom I reached out to after my corporate stint and said, hey, I'm back doing this full time. If you need me, I'd be happy to help. And from there, honestly, my business has just I've been blessed with a lot of word of mouth referrals. A lot.
Well, you got to get those, you have to deliver.
Yeah.
It,
Deliver, and I feel be a very trusted source.
yeah, for sure.
That's
For
important
sure.
to me. I want my clients to really like working with me. If they don't like working with me, that's not good.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
have you gotta vibe with the people you're working with.
When's the last time you had to fire a client?
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
know.
you had to ask that question.
Well, I mean, I think people that are good at what they do, I think there's always a tiny bit of churn that happens, that
Yeah.
it's out of necessity, because I think just hearing your story and hearing the things that you've said and the fact that you want your clients to trust you, I think that works both ways. I think that you want to be able to trust your clients too. You want to work with people that you enjoy working with, because you're like, hey, life's too short for us
No,
to.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's what it came down to. And this isn't the first time that there's been a client where I'm like, probably shouldn't have taken that one. And I think just getting good at trusting yourself and your intuition when you're having those first startup meetings, like if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And it was the same thing. It was less of a trust thing and more of a boundary thing. I was getting like requests late at night and demand this needs to be done ASAP. And I'm like, hi, I still have a life. I'm a human being.
Yep.
It's a Sunday. I'm not going to, So I think just if you lose the joy and the reason for why you left that corporate job and you're going, and you're seeing yourself regret accepting that meeting or just really not looking forward to responding to an email, probably not a great fit for you.
Do you remember the day in your 4-year window back in corporate? Do you remember the day you thought this was not a good idea? Or maybe it was a good idea. Maybe it's exactly what you needed to appreciate jumping back into it later. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No. I like what you said, because for me, it was a budget thing, looking at budgets being spent and just knowing what goes on behind that and how it doesn't need to be that way. And I'm just like, I feel like I need to share this information with other people that have small budgets that need to go far.
Yeah.
I want to show people how to do that. And I don't want to say it was gross, but it kind of is. Like, corporate America is somewhat wasteful of time and budget and decision making, just being caught up in who knows what in a paper file somewhere.
I have talked to people from more than 30 different countries, probably more than 400 episodes in the time for this particular podcast. I don't think that I remember anyone ever describing the comparison between working in the corporate environment and being a solopreneur or a very small, little firm that you created or whatever, in the way that you did, where you described that how slow the actions are taken in the corporate environment versus how rapidly they happen in a very small setting. And that really stuck with me when you said that, because I mean, it's, I'm a terrible multitasker, but I was multitasking there for a minute. I was listening to what you said, after that, but I was still stuck in the right side of my brain was stuck in neutral going, wow, I never thought about that.
I know,
I've
I'm
never
probably getting
thought
flack for
about
that.
unpack that just a little bit. I would love I mean, and it's not an indictment on people that are working in jobs, but it's like that is true. I mean, there are so many obstacles, hurdles, whatever,
It's no one's fault. It's just like, well, this is the procedure and this is how we have to do it, and that we'll put that on the next meeting. And it's like, it's no one's fault.
Well, I can't meet till a week from Thursday, so
and like, as a business owner, you can be like, oh, this is the data we're getting back from the campaign. Let's change it right now, because you don't have to ask your director who needs to then get clearance from legal, who, you know, like you don't have to do that. You could just be like, oh, let's make that decision right now. We have clear data in front of our face. Let's do it. So yeah, it's not any hate on the corporate world, because I have corporate clients who I work with, and I get it. And I know with them certain things, like I have to wait. We have to go through certain hoops. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. Like you could just be so much more effective and move quicker as a small business owner.
How would you describe your biggest win to date?
What
would that look like?
Like stuff that's happened, or just like my dream? What do you clarify a little bit?
You know what? This is your show. You tell me this. I'm going to leave this open-ended. I don't have an answer I'm looking for. So it's interesting to hear what people would, you know, it's like asking you, what does success mean? You know?
Yeah. Success for me and wins for me are the little text messages I get from clients where I've got this one and it's so sweet. He screenshots whatever someone said, like, oh my gosh, I just went on your website and it was so easy to understand what you do. Thank you for being so clear with the information. Or I just found you on Google. You were the top one. You've got the best, you know, photos on your site, whatever it is, like that little stuff. When I get those like little bits of outreach from my clients, I'm so happy because I want them to win. Obviously they're going to keep me around. So I have an invested interest in them succeeding. And I'm pumped. I'll share it with my daughter. I'll bring it up at dinner. Like I love it. I'm so excited about it. Those are big moments for me.
What's the flip side of that? What's one thing you look back at that you think would be maybe a good lesson for others that are maybe a little further behind you in the journey, that you said, yeah, I did this, man, I wish I wouldn't have done this. This was it was a painful lesson, but you know, everything has value. You know, every pain and obstacle has value. So
I think it kind of goes back to what I said before, but a new take on it is getting super clear on exactly who you want your client to be. Because
how do you do that when you first start? Because it's like, I need revenue. I don't care where it's coming from.
Yeah, there's that desperate feeling of like, I don't care, I'll take that job. I think writing down exactly who you want to serve, and I'm not saying turn away the work when you're like, I need to start making money. Get super, super clear on who is it that you want to be on the other end of the phone when it rings. And then how can you reevaluate your messaging on social media, your messaging on your website, the way you talk about your business. Make sure that you reframe the way you talk to attract those people. And if you got to take some of the people that aren't your ideal client in the beginning, I think it's okay, because you're going to learn so much. I've learned so much from those people, and you're going to learn the red flags and know in the future, no, sorry, I'm pricing myself out of this situation or whatever it is, which is a really valuable skill to have. Is, you know, I could be on a meeting with somebody and see the red flags, and then on the call drop a price that I know they're going to be like, oh, and that's okay. Didn't work for them, doesn't work for me. Great, cool. Move on. You know, don't waste anyone's time.
I mean, there may be a price that it would work for me. You know,
maybe
I can make it work if it's just right.
Yeah, exactly.
This price, you're not worth the effort, but it might be at double. You may. But I
think as a whole, like having it down that exact, like who is that person, that ideal dream client, and like just really like, I don't care if you ask your friends, like say, hey, when you read this, like, does this seem like a quality level of service, or you know what I mean? Like just. I think getting feedback is great. And that is something I actually absolutely love AI for, is saying, hey, here's this one sheet I made, you know, trying to do X, Y, and Z and attract this type of person. Would you give me feedback? And I feel like if you're not using AI for that, start, because it is some great insight into how you can obviously clarify your message.
How would you define your ideal client? What's the demographics? What's the avatar?
Oh gosh, I've got a few. So I really like the tourism space. It's very fun living where I live. I got a lot of clients around here that do tours and guides and things like that. And I think I love working with them because they're literally just doing what brings them joy. Like they are doing a job that, you know, maybe they really love taking people on hikes.
You mean that's more exciting than plumbing supplies or something?
Yes, yes, it is. It's more exciting.
Right.
And then on the flip side, I have a ton of clients in like the, service industry space, HVAC,
Mhm.
concrete, home remodelers. And those guys are great because the ones who get it and the ones who are just trying to be the best in their niche and deliver really good quality, they are so open-minded to how do I do it? What do I got to do? Like line it up and let's go. And they're usually like, let's go 100% right now, which is super fun
Yeah.
too, from a marketing standpoint. Like that's incredibly part of. But I think all the different avatars of people I do work with, working with people who really value communication is the number one thing for me. I want to be able to get on a call and share wins and losses
Hmm.
in a very helpful way and be very transparent with one another. And I always say that to my clients, like if the leads you're getting aren't good, I need to know about it
Yeah.
immediately. Is there something wrong?
Yeah. That is I love that. And it's really interesting because as you were, you have a really unique way of describing things that cause me to drift,
Uh-oh.
mentally here. I
Don't
feel
do
like
that.
I just have
Is it the
ADHD during the
Lamborghini?
podcast here.
Is it the Lamborghini?
It may be, yeah. That may be. That's exactly right.
Okay.
But how you described, for lack of a better term, kind of a blue collar, mindset or whatever, the trades mindset, I can see that they would be really clear clients to work with because, I mean, they're very focused on whatever they do.
Yeah.
And they're not going to argue. They don't know marketing
They don't want to.
generally. They don't
Yeah.
want to know marketing. They know how to make my air conditioner work. They know how to make plumbing roll downhill. They know how to do everything that is in their space that they are the true expert. But they
Yeah.
rely on you to be the expert in the marketing space, in the SEO space. And they're like, you know what? It's really going to be easy to see if this works or not because am
Yep.
I getting more calls?
Yep.
Am I getting more
Absolutely.
clients? Am I getting more leads? Am I, fill in the blank? And how clear that would be versus say somebody that might be in say a service side of things that may think they know a little bit about marketing or they know a little bit about that and maybe you're spending a lot of time just arguing with them
Educating. Yeah. Yeah.
on
That does
what
happen.
things going to work.
Yeah, that does happen. There's definitely those situations where there's someone that like knows a little bit enough to be dangerous, and then it usually works itself out though, because then they start to see the value and they're like, oh, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know this. Okay, cool. So, which is great. Those relationships actually become some of my most favorite when you're like working with another marketing person and then you see the value you both have.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can
Diverse
also show them
minds.
by, because you are so data driven, you can show
Yeah.
them that, hey, this is why it's working. Like,
Yeah, you
this is
have to be. You
tangibly,
have to be. In the world we live in, you gotta lean into the data a little bit, unfortunately.
Well, I could continue to ask you questions all afternoon. I know you actually have a business to run that I want to get back to at some point in time. But what's a dream that hadn't come to fruition yet?
Oh gosh, there's a few of them. I want to do a podcast like you. I think it would be really cool to have my clients on and just have them like what you're doing with me. I think it'd
Yeah,
be so neat for people to hear from all different types of industries, to hear what worked, what didn't work, what they tried, the frustrations they feel. And then I think to sum that up, my ultimate goal would be some kind of a book. I really want to put together a book of empowering like women and growing their authority online.
no, I don't. I think the only thing stopping you is actually you just setting a goal and making it happen. I mean,
Yeah, I need to put that on my little sheet of things to do.
exactly. All right, wrap us up today. Speak directly to our audience about how somebody that's just sitting in a cube, feeling like they got the shackles, the golden handcuffs on right now, and they're dreaming about stepping out and maybe trying something on their own. How would you coach them? How would you mentor them? How would you encourage them to maybe take that first step? What are one or two things that are just really tangible ways that they can move the needle a little bit?
I would say really get clear on what is your gift that you know you can bring to the table, whether that is a service or it's something physical that you want to build or create, and obsess over it. Literally obsess over it. Talk about it all the time. Create a vision board. Go on walks with yourself. and just think. I can't even tell you how many voice recordings I have from those very last days of my corporate journey, just talking to myself about my ideas. And then I go back and listen to them and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that. I did that. And those early conversations with myself really helped me feel less like an imposter and more like, you totally can do this. You 100% can do this.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I think that people are going to listen to this story. They're going to, I mean, there's a lot of little kind of serpentine path that we've taken through the podcast here. But if one thing just resonates from beginning to end is the idea that, you kind of stepped into something that was a very clear, it was like, if you think about the Hollywood Walk of Fame, how the people's footprints are in the concrete, there in LA, you stepped into your concrete feet.
Yeah.
You stepped into what fits really well and was designed for you to walk in. And I mean, it's very apparent, just in
Mhm.
the short time that we've talked that it's encouraging to me to hear stories like this and to see, when you look in people's eyes that, there is depth there that says, what, the stories I'm telling you, the things I'm telling you, I live every day. And I have found a good rhythm, in that. And it's just really, it's great to hear stories like this. I just really appreciate you taking the time. Tell
Yeah.
tell people where the best place to find you, how to work with you, and then we'll just wrap it up.
Okay. If you're interested in learning a little bit about SEO, I have a free newsletter and you can find that at getzgo.com. And it's my last name, GOETZGO.com. And I try to share, just like bite-sized little bits of information to help people understand that better. And then if you look me up on Instagram or LinkedIn, just search Amber Goetz SEO and I should pop up. And then if you're interested and you need SEO services or web development, theactivemedia.com.
We will have those links for sure in the show notes for everyone. But Amber, it's just been a pleasure to virtually meet you and just to hear your story. It's been a real joy to talk to you this afternoon, and I just really appreciate you taking time just to play your part in helping all boats rise in a rising tide. Amber, have a great afternoon. Thanks again.
You too, Kevin. Thanks.
We hope you heard some great takeaways and are now ready to take action yourself. As always, thank you for listening and helping all boats rise in a rising tide.